Here.
Bill Parkman.
Here.
Donald Morris, I'm here. David Hernandez.
Absent.
Gerald Morris.
Aye.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Dennis Schaffner.
Here.
Justin Wright.
Absent.
Is Justin still excused?
Yes. Okay, item 4, adopt agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda with the flexibility to adjust the order a little bit of candidates if necessary.
Yes. I would like to second that, but I would like to add to that. I would like to ask the board to change the agenda in regards to the local election candidates to allow them, because I do not think we're going to get 100% attendance tonight, and to allow all candidates to have 5 minutes of speak instead of the 3 minutes allotted.
Okay.
Could you speak a little louder, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, what I asked was that we change the agenda to allow all candidates to have 5 minutes to speak versus the 3 minutes that are in the agenda, because it looks like we are, based upon our confirmations, we're not going to have a full house of all candidates tonight, so it'll give us a little extra time, plus give you all a little extra time to hear from the candidates so they can tell you about themselves, what they stand for, what they're going to do, and they don't have to rush through their presentation quite so much. Okay, so we have a motion and a second with changes. Any other questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, approved minutes.
There were no minutes for last month's meeting. It was just a memorandum of event because we didn't have a quorum. But the last set of minutes that need to be approved are the ones for August 16th of 2018. And I make the motion that we adopt them.
Second.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. On the minutes for the last meeting, those are going to be as noted because it was not a quorum, so you do not have an.
No, this one here, all we did is list some memorandum of event that goes into the file, just
Okay.
in case we didn't have a quorum.
And then we have August 16th.
And then the August 16th is the one that we will vote on tonight to approve.
Okay. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're going to move real quick to the community leader reports. Kern County Sheriff's Office.
Sergeant Anthem for the Kern County Sheriff's Office substation. I'm just going to do this real quick and short. The East area had 1,763 calls for service, and Rosamond had 624 of those calls. The East area had 65 arrests, and Rosamond had 22 of those. We're going to participate with the trunk or treat on Halloween at the Wayside Chapel. So we'll be out there for that. That's it for me tonight.
Thank you, Jim. Highway Patrol, any report? Yes?
Hi, Officer Strachan, California Highway Patrol here. Unfortunately, we don't have any stats for tonight. We do have a flyer we'd like to hand out to the community. This is a suspect that was identified as the driver in a hit and run involving a pedestrian here on Sierra Highway, north of Rosamond Boulevard. I'll go ahead and leave this in the back. If anyone has any information they see, then they'll contact the Highway Patrol. In addition, I have another hit and run involving a vehicle versus pedestrian that occurred on the 9th of September. The only information we have was there was some debris left at the roadway, which I was able to narrow it down to a 2013 to 16 model Hyundai Elantra Sport. And it's going to have probably dark in color. It's going to have a broken right front headlight that hasn't already been repaired, as well as there should be some foot damage and dents to the right side of this particular vehicle that occurred on Sierra Highway in front of the Wayside Cafe. If anyone knows anybody or knows a neighbor or saw something, you know, that they had damage to their car, that they can contact the Highway Patrol, would be great. Appreciate that help.
Thank you. Okay, and Mike, Kern County Supervisor's Office?
I'm going to go ahead and defer tonight because we have our county supervisor Zach Scrivener here.
So I'll be speaking during the candidate debate. I'm going to cover quite a bit of stuff.
All right, before we move on to item 7, candidates forum, let me explain how this is going to work so that way everybody's aware of it. What we're going to have is it's going to be in 2 stages. The first, we're going to hear from candidates running for state assembly, and then the candidates running for Kern County Supervisor. Each of these candidates will be given 5 minutes to speak and talk to you, tell you their platform, give you their stories. And after we're done, so we have a lot of candidates to go through and a lot of people to make it fair to everyone, we will take a 10-minute recess where at that time you all can approach the state and Kern County Supervisor candidates and ask them questions directly that you're concerned with, that you want to have answered. And we feel that would be the best way to do it, to keep the meeting moving. And then after the recess, then we will be moving on to the candidates for all the local races. So it'll be under the same format. The candidates will be called up to this table as their office is going to be heard. And when they're done, they will take their seats, and the next group of candidates will come up and sit down. And once you've all had your 5 minutes to speak, you can take all the 5 or whatever portion of it you want. Then we will hold a 15-minute recess for you to do the same, to approach the individual candidates to get their information that you want from them. Once that is done, then we will reconvene here for our general meeting to carry out the rest of the RMAC business for this month. And so with that, I would like to invite the candidates for the State Assembly and for Kern County Supervisor to please come up and have a seat at the table here, and we'll get this underway. And one other thing, once we go to the local candidates, I will be handing over the running of the meeting to Director Donna Morris, because she's the only one on this board right now besides Jerry that is not running for election.
I'm already here.
Okay. Just to make a call out, is Steve Fox here?
I think you'll be coming. We just had a previous event.
Okay.
Who knows?
Then I would like to ask Tom if you would like to refer to the supervisors and then give...
I think that'd probably be better, in fairness.
Okay. Then we will go ahead and we'll change the order up a little bit, and we'll move on to Kern County Supervisor. And let's go ahead and start off with Whitney Weddle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Rosamond. I'm Whitney Weddle, and I am here to humbly ask for your vote for Kern County Supervisor. I threw my hat in the ring back last January, and I have made it my business to travel the entire district, 3,660 miles, over and over and over. I put over 10,000 miles on my car. I've been out to Rosamond more than a dozen times. And I really wanted to talk to average citizens, people who are affected by the decisions we make. And so I spent a good deal of time, for instance, just hanging out at McDonald's at the Foster Freeze, at Coach's Bar. I shared a pizza more often than not with complete strangers at Coach's, talking about their lives and how the decisions that we make affect them. And I heard some interesting things. People are concerned about the fact that the park is closed, that they don't have a swimming pool, that the solar power is encroaching on homes, and they're worried about perhaps the possibility of valley fever becoming a reality in this community. Those are concerns that I share. And I am very interested in following up on all of those things as soon as I'm elected. It's important for an elected official to be a listener, to be someone who you can count on, who's going to listen and hear your concerns, even if they disagree. And my door will always be open, and I will return your call. You will hear from me if you have a serious concern. I am very invested in that. I spent 30 years as a high school teacher, and in that time I have learned very easily how to deal with large numbers of people. I mean, at my high school, some of the kids, they don't want to be there. And it's my job to bring people together in my classroom, whether they want to be there or not, and create an environment where everyone can be successful. And that's a skill that translates really well to government, because it's time for leadership to bring people together. We need to leave labels at the door, we need to leave colors at the door, and we need to create solutions that we can all agree in. We need to bring all people who are affected by our decisions to the table. One issue, for instance, is the issue of homelessness. It seems to me that we spend a lot of time talking about the homeless, but we don't necessarily spend enough time talking to them. And so we need to create the solutions, not based on just hard data or scientific fact, which are important, but also the input from the people who are directly involved. I'm committed to that. I want to move our county forward. I want to always be considering the world that we're leaving for our children and our grandchildren, and I promise that I will always be accessible to you. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move to Michael Bigley.
Hello, Rosamond. My name is Michael Bigley. I live in Tehachapi, Sand Canyon area. I've been to Rosamond quite a few times myself. I drive through Rosamond quite often. I lived in the Antelope Valley. I've been in the Sand Canyon for about 12 years. I'm not a politician. I have a 47-year work history. First as an owner-operator in the trucking business, then for construction, big construction companies for 28 years. And right now I'm a California State Park equipment operator, conservation worker, firefighter. I do a lot of different things. So the issues here in Rosamond that I've been really been talked to about are the marijuana, the abundance of marijuana shops in a very close proximity, which some people don't like it. Some people say we need maybe one or two in this area, maybe one or two every square mile, which I agree with. So I think what we're going to have to do is get some regulations to, we're going to have medical marijuana, then it's going to have setbacks, it's going to have to be set in a certain area. It can't be around schools, it can't be around where kids are at, and they're going to have to figure out some way to tax it. Now, Donald Trump's signaling that he's probably going to legalize medical marijuana, so then it's going to be federally legal and it's going to be able to be taxed, and they're going to be able to regulate it. The other problem in Rosamond that people have come to me about is solar, and you're not going to get rid of it because it is a big boom to the economy of Kern County. It's making up for a lot of the oil and a lot of the ag that we're not doing. Those in windmills. But you can ask for setbacks and you can ask for certain things. We did it. My wife and I are with the Friends of Sand Canyon who did it with windmill projects in Tehachapi. We've met with your guys, helped you guys form your board to try to get some concessions on these solar plants, how to do about it, how to form your board, what to ask for. So we're down here, trying to help you guys out. Solar and wind power, for all the solar and wind power you see, it generates about 5% of the energy in the entire United States, so they take vast, vast numbers. Representation is really what it's about, and I think that the person that's representing you should be down here talking to you, seeing what your needs are, holding town hall meetings, and maybe even holding some workshops from the Office of Supervisor to try to find out where you guys can maybe better run some certain businesses. We're better equipped in certain areas. Have a professional down here to do that. I've seen areas where they've got a lot of empty buildings, like out in Boron, that I see, you know, places that could be built, you know. Down here, this way, sorry, towards Mojave, I was at this car show last week. Whitfield, it was the Watson Whitfield car show in the middle of nowhere on Sierra Highway, but yet it was a huge draw last week, and they had some really nostalgic, really nice cars. And something like that could be done in Boron. I see something in Taft because they have a very unique old town community. So I'm sure that, you know, we've got things here in Rosamond that we could do to enhance your, you know, community, get more money flowing in here. Another thing I'd like to do is, I'm a construction guy, so as far as fixing the roads, we don't have money to contract or fix them. I think I'd like to get the roads department stocked with materials and have them out doing more repairs, doing some of the stuff themselves. We did this in state parks where we didn't have money. We had a $15,000 donation from somebody, and we repaved the parking lot because we use our own people and we use our own equipment. We had fuel, we had equipment, and we had knowledge, and I directed these guys and we did these projects. So I think we could do the same thing on some of our roads, and not just here. We could do it here, we could do it in Boron and other places by buying materials for our roads department. I'd like to get you guys voting, no doubt about it. You know, we're all running. There's 4 people running in this race. My big thing is, and the reason there's 4 people running in this race is because we don't feel in the unincorporated area that we get representation. That's why we're here, because we want to see everybody get represented. We want to see ourselves get represented. So, thank you for listening to us, and I hope to talk to you folks afterwards.
Okay, Dal Bunn.
Good evening, folks. Can you hear okay in the back? Yes. Good. Were you using all your fingers when you waved that? I hope so. You know, this feels to me like I'm coming home. My earliest recognition or recollection of Rosamond, because I grew up basically in the Mojave area. 58 years I've been in East Kern County. All 58 years in independent business, a taxpayer since I was 14. Have fought with and alongside the county for 58 years. So I kind of know what's going on in our part of the world. I call it this side of the Magic Mountains. You know, we got a ring of mountains between us and the Ivory Towers. And those are the Magic Mountains because the roads from here are a lot shorter going down there than the road from there to get up here, apparently. Because the answer always is and always has been, well, come to Bakersfield and we'll deal with your problem. 58 years of that. You know, I was sitting out in the parking lot kind of thinking about what would tickle your fancy, tickle your ears, would make you vote for me. And there was some 3 little kids playing right out there in that kind of that median along the road, and I was listening to them, and they was talking about how fast their daddies were. And the one says, my daddy is so fast that he can shoot a bow and arrow across the backyard, run to the other end of the yard, and catch the arrow before it splinters on the wall. That's fast. The kid said, boy, that's good. Other little boy says, my daddy is so fast he can bring his .45 pistol out here and shoot it across the backyard and run over to the wall and catch that bullet before it hits the wall. And them other 2 kids said, man, that's fast. The 3rd kid, my kind of guy, said, my daddy's faster than both of you. And I said, well, how can they be any faster? And he says, well, he's had a government job for the last 20 years. He gets off at 5 o'clock and he's home at 3:30 every day. If that's true, I'd like you to vote for me. Because I've worked since I was 14 every doggone day. For 35 years, I've run a family ranch in the Tehachapi area, one of the largest in Kern County. And the only reason I'm there is because I make money. I worked for the building department for 4 years, so I know what goes on inside. and I want to work my last few years for you. I want to be the guy that comes out and talks to you, goes back down and represents you to the board as your supervisor, as opposed to the supervisor that represents the county to you. Now I know it works both ways. I don't have my head in the sand that much. I'm too short to be an ostrich. But the reality is, we need a voice. My parents were in the independent business for 28 years in Mojave. Went through the ups and downs of Mojave. Rarely did we get a voice. Rarely. But when it comes time for taxes and those kind of things, we still have the same responsibility and obligations. We pay our taxes. We should get represented. I believe as a representative we need to have integrity. Now every candidate, I watch them on the TV, I would hear their ads, I read their newspapers. They all say, I'm the man of integrity. That's good. I'm the man of integrity. But along with that integrity, I have availability. I have accessibility. And I have accountability. And those things are important. And my door will be the one when you come down to the Ivory Tower, and I hope you come visit me. And I'm not behind the bars, I'm in the Ivory Tower. Come and visit me and walk right straight into my office. Because I'll be there if I'm not out here or if I'm not in the field. And I know this is a huge district. I travel it a lot. I've gone through 3 oil changes now on my pickup, and it's due again. That's how big this is. Whitney said the same thing. It's huge. We're busy. All of us are busy. But I'm hearing the same thing in every little community that we visit. Is, are you really going to show up? Are you going to come out and listen to our problems? Are you going to fix our park? Are you going to put water in our pond? Are you going to plow our roads when the snow comes down? Because I'm one of the guys that's from a small community and I'm at home in Rosamond. I'm going to tell you, yeah, we're going to fix your problems. Thank you. Just going to, one more thing, this hat and these boots mean something to me. I was raised in the Western lifestyle. That's integrity. When I tell you something's going to happen, it's going to happen to the best of my knowledge. I won't lie to you. You may not like what I have to say, but I will not lie to you. And I darn sure need your vote.
Okay. And Supervisor Zach Scribner.
Thank you, everyone. First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, showing up and taking an interest in your county government, also all the different levels of government. My name is Zach Scribner. I've represented you for almost 8 years now on the Board of Supervisors. My wife and our 4 children live in Tehachapi, and it's great to be here. I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges the county's facing and then some successes that we've realized over the course of the last 4 years. First of all, we've been in the middle of a fiscal crisis at the County of Kern, and that's been due to 2 major things. First of all, the price of oil went from $100 a barrel down to $35 a barrel a couple of years ago. Kern County is the largest oil producing county in the entire state. We produce about 80%. And so the oil companies pay a lot of property taxes to the county. It's about 11% of our tax base. And so when the price of oil goes down, the taxes that come into the county also go down. And so that caused a huge hole in our budget. The other thing that's been challenging us are our employee pension costs. The cost of retirement has gone up by 70% over the course of the last 10 years. And that has made it very, very difficult for us to provide cost of living increases for our employees, which I know they would like to see and which we would like to provide. But it's really strained our budget to the tune of a $44.5 million structural deficit that we were faced with 2 years ago. So what we did is we said, all right, well, we've saved about $60 million in reserves because oil was high. Unlike Sacramento and Washington, we don't spend every dollar that comes into the County of Kern. We have to pass a balanced budget every year, and we have no place to go if we run out of money. We cannot print money, we cannot defer payments to other agencies and to our employees. And so we socked money away when oil was high. And so with a combination of cuts and using those reserves, we created a 4-year deficit mitigation plan. And so we started out with $44.5 million, and we have gotten that down. We're going into our 3rd year of that mitigation plan. We've gotten it down to $17 million, from $44.5 to $17 million. So we're well over halfway, but we do have more work to go. The budget has made it difficult for us to address one of the major issues for us, and that has been the staffing of our Sheriff's Department. I want to be very honest and upfront with you that that is the single biggest issue that keeps me up at night, is the fact that we have less sheriff deputies now than we had 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And that's because we've lost pace with other agencies as far as the pay for those sheriff deputies. We used to pay more, but now we're lagging behind the city of Bakersfield. Now we're lagging behind other cities like Shafter. And when you're faced with a budget deficit, when you have to cut $44.5 million, it's very difficult to provide raises. However, we did budget for $1.9 million this year to provide a raise to first-year deputies, and then for longevity bonuses. Each year a deputy stays with us, we wanted to provide them with a longevity bonus that was not pensionable. So it wouldn't spike the pension problem, but it would provide more take-home pay for them. Our talks with the union unfortunately have stalled, and I'm looking forward to getting back to the table with them to try to get a deal. But that is really what caused the sheriff, Donnie Youngblood, to ask the Board of Supervisors to put a 1-cent sales tax on the ballot. I know you folks are interested in that, so I want to address it. In order for us to accomplish two things, which would be to provide pay parity with Bakersfield Police for our deputies and to fill all the vacancies at the substation, it would cost us $20 million of ongoing costs to do that. What that would take, if we didn't have another revenue stream, that would take a 35% across the board cut to all non-public safety departments. So you take out DA, you take out probation, the other departments would have to be cut by 35%. So that's parks, that's libraries, that's veteran services, everything that's funded by the general fund that's not a safety department. And so the sheriff came to the board and said, look, I'm concerned about this, and I'm going to ask the board to put it on the ballot. And I'll be honest with you, the communities that I thought about when I voted to do that, and I'm a conservative person, it's not something that I took lightly, but the communities that I thought about were Rosamond and Boron and Mojave, those communities that have less deputies now than they did before. I've done ride-alongs with your deputies, and I can see the difference between 2 years ago when we had more deputies that were on the street. They're taxed in their work schedule, they are strained as far as their resources, and it's something that is impacting us. But I'm telling you that I am committed to finding a solution with or without the sales tax vote going through, but I want you to be aware of why the sheriff asked us that and why I agreed to put it on. I had someone that was here that asked me about the 2 cannabis initiatives that are going to be on the ballot. Those were put on the ballot by the advocates for the dispensaries, the advocates for the marijuana industry. They went out and collected signatures from voters. And they, am I out of time? Okay, sorry. I'd like to talk to you more about that when we have time during the break, and so I apologize that I went over. But those, I think, were 2 things that were on your mind, and those are very important initiatives. I'm opposed to both of them. We voted for a ban. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead to the State Assembly candidates, and we're going to start off with Steve Fox.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Fox. I used to serve you on the Antelope Valley Hospital Board for 14 years, and my connection with the hospital now tells me that valley fever is on the rise. I am convinced it has to do with the solar farms. I'm absolutely convinced. There's 5,000 new cases statewide, so I think the legislature has to do something to control, to limit them, to make them pay for it. Our health is at stake. Our children's health is at stake. This is something that has to be dealt with. Forgive my asthma. After I served on the hospital board, I served 4 years on the college board, and then I decided to run for the state legislature. I'd been a Republican for 30 years on the conservative side, but I got angry with my fellow Republicans for all the dirty politics, and I ran as a Democrat. And all of a sudden, I got elected by 145 votes out of 132,000. A lot of Republicans came with me and voted for me. The result was I was the most conservative Democrat in the state of California. I was also the only one endorsed, at that time, the only Democrat endorsed by the NRA. But I found some formulas. I get conservative bills through a democratically controlled legislature because they wanted a D over here. I don't care what party you are, I care what are you going to do for my community. So I did a lot of things. I pushed through 2 enterprise zones, and I'd like to see them redone here. That's when a small business gets a tax multi-year discount for hiring a new hire. They've since lapsed. There's been no new bills. I'd like to do it again. I got a bill through the Assembly for a 4-year college. They said wait a year. They hadn't had one in 20 years. They said wait another year. We want to look at it. A year came and went. I didn't get reelected, and nobody re-entered the bill for a 4-year college. I like our kids to stay local. I don't want them flying out of state. I also found out that I could do district-only bills. I got an anti-squatter bill, and I'm an attorney, where you don't have to go through eviction process if someone's a squatter, if you do it the right way. I got through that for Palmdale, Lancaster only. I'd like to do it again through this area as well. Why should we landowners, our only investment might be our second house, why should we have to suffer when someone is a squatter in there? Reality, we all want to make a living, we want to exist, and there's no reason why all our work should go down the drain. In addition, I got for Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, I got a $420 million tax credit for Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. And they got it, and they used it for an $80 billion Department of Defense budget to create new jobs. My whole goal is, whether it's small jobs with the enterprise zone or big jobs for aerospace, because we used to be the aerospace capital of the world, why can't we again? I was able to get that tax credit for here. Remember, the perfect formula ended up being a conservative Democrat, and they want to give me whatever I asked for, so I started asking for everything I could get. I asked different mayors, what do you want? Palmdale mayor said they took all my redevelopment money from my city. He wanted it back. So without a bill, I lobbied the governor. I sat on his door every day till he gave back $2.7 million back to the city of Palmdale in order to finish building 1,000 low-cost homes. We found a formula that worked. A democratically controlled legislature was giving a conservative squatters bill, a $420 million tax credit, $2.7 million, another $30 million for the environmental impact reports out of a previous budget. I got all that stuff, even got it through the concept of a university through it. I thought it was a very good formula. What can I do for this area? One thing we need in this area is more police. I don't know, you know, the response time here is terrible. And I've checked over in Acton, there's dumping, there's no response time. Lake LA doesn't have sheriffs. All the county-controlled areas that aren't part of a city get ignored. They don't get what they deserve. They don't get the police force they want. So I looked through all the codes and found what's called the police district. Why can't we give every area that has a small town and say, you're the police district? We'll give you funding, you can hire your sheriffs, so you don't have to wait on the county giving you or not giving you. So my concept is to give you more self-determination authority, that you make the decisions. So you don't have to beg the county, you don't have to wait on the county telling you what to do. A county, whether it's LA County or Kern, that's ignoring you. You should be able to have funds to make your own decisions. So that's one of the things I want to end up doing. So my whole goal is to take a look what you want. And again, when I voted, I took polls a lot of times. Even if I didn't agree with the poll, I voted the way the community wanted. I looked at myself as your representative. I did a really good job. I got 12 bills through. I brought millions of dollars here. I'd like an opportunity to give you more. Thank you.
Assemblyman Tom Lackey.
Yes, thank you. This is an impressive crowd. You should be proud of, and obviously you are proud or you wouldn't be here. So I want to thank you and commend you all for being here. For those of you who don't know, I was raised in the Mojave Desert, a little town called Boron. You may have heard of it. I think you still compete against them in sports. Back then we used to beat you. I don't know if we still do. Anyways, that's beside the point. One of the differences that you'll see between myself and my opponent is I am a listener. I'm not going to tell you what you need. I'm here to listen to you, and you've told me very clearly, because I've represented you the last 4 years, and I've had multiple community meetings where I've come to you, and you come and you interact, and you share with me what are your priorities. And I've heard very, very loudly one of your biggest concerns over the last several years, and the supervisor has addressed it to some degree, is public safety. Public safety has eroded substantially in the East Kern County because of the financial challenges, but quite frankly also the cannabis industry here in the city of Rosamond is a ridiculous example of the failure of state government also. Not providing resources. When the people said they wanted to legalize this substance for adult use, but yet, and we also crafted standards for which that delivery model should be provided, but yet no enforcement. And so you have an industry who's trying to, and then you have the federal government that doesn't recognize the substance as a legal substance. So we have all sorts of garbage, quite frankly, that's interfering with communities like Rosamond. You guys don't care about all the dynamics. You guys don't care about why. You just care about, you've got, I don't know, over a dozen dispensaries here in Rosamond. How ridiculous is that? I can tell you that one of the things and that I'm very proud of is my credentials in public safety. I'm the vice chair of the Public Safety Committee. Quite frankly, they should change the name of that committee to Inmate Safety, because that's really what the concerns are, and that's really the priority. But I'm very proud of the fact that I still get to be a voice, and I think that I'm able to have some traction and to actually represent you, and I'm building coalitions, and I need more time to continue to do so. And I'm very proud to represent the voice of the small community. I've lived it. I understand it. And it's become even more difficult. Back when I was a young man, Boron had a community hospital. My sister was born in Boron. You can't be born in Boron now unless you have a midwife or you have some other circumstance. You're lucky if you get an ambulance in Boron. And that is just, and I don't say that to criticize the county, it's the dynamic of the state having people from the other party that are all from the urban area. So our policy has been friendly to urban environments and forgetting the rural areas. I am here to tell you that I understand and I'm very proud to represent your interests. I know the things that are important to you. And I'm going to continue to fight for those things. The economic circumstance and how they impose this ridiculous gas tax. For heaven's sake, how unfair is that to those of us who don't have public transportation like they do? We don't have options like the urban people do. And we don't drive just for the fun of it. We drive out in the city. We drive because our employment is not right around the corner. It may be over 100 miles. It may, who knows how far, but it's a significant distance. And we are paying the majority of a tax that's not even going towards what they promised it would. It's not an honest system. So I hope that all of you will vote yes on Prop 6 because the legislature ignored the entire state and they focused on a very small portion of it. So we need to make our government accountable to you, the people, when they're imposing such an onerous burden, which the gas tax is, in my opinion. Because as a highway patrolman for 28 years, and I worked when most people were asleep, I saw the commute. I saw people falling asleep because they were working 2 jobs in Los Angeles, some of them working and traveling all the way from California City. That's the reality that I clearly understand by each one of you as voters. I'm proud to come and listen to you. I promise that that is what I believe in. It's what's missing in government. And I'm very proud to have given this chance, and I hope you'll give me a chance to continue. Thank you.
And with that, this concludes our forum of the state candidates and Kern County Supervisor candidates. And we will go ahead and take a 10-minute recess so you can all have access and ask your questions. At this time, I'll be turning over to the running of the meeting to Director Morris, and she will call the candidates by the race that you're running. So when she announces the race that you're a candidate in, please come up to the table and take your seat in the same format. Each candidate will be given a 5-minute opportunity to speak, and then after everybody has had a chance to speak, then we will have a 15-minute recess where you can all do what you just did right now and approach the individual candidates to ask them questions that you want answered. Okay, and with this, Director Morris.
Welcome. This will be candidates from Antelope Valley College Board. Everybody up that's running?
Yep.
Yes. All right.
Could you tell us how many seats are available for each?
There's one. There's one.
Just one.
going to get crowded with three guys sitting there.
Mr. Coronado, why don't you start us off, please?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, folks. Thank you very much for being here and for participating in this wonderful democracy. I had the opportunity to say hello to some of you. Again, Miguel Coronado, and I want to share with you very quickly. It seems like we just have 5 minutes, and I'm a little guy, so I want you guys to see me, and no fault of my own. So I am running for the Antelope Valley College Board, but you know, making a decision like that, it doesn't just come easy. You just don't wake up one day and say, I'm going to run for the Antelope Valley College Board. You don't wake up and say, I'm just going to run for any board. You have to have a commitment, you have to have a dedication, you have to have the desire to give to your community. And most importantly, you have to be prepared. And I started school, I went to Los Angeles Certified School District schools, I graduated from Tufts High School. And before that, I grew up in the foster care system. I had 6 brothers and 2 sisters, I had a single mother, she couldn't take care of us. I became extremely rebellious, and I started wandering the streets at a very young age. And as a result of that, I was awarded the court, and I was placed in foster care. And it was during foster care that I started to get the care that I needed, the support that I needed to come out into society and to be a productive member of our community. If I had not had that opportunity, I probably would have become a criminal. Because when you grew up in a very poor community, that's usually what happens to people that look like me. But I decided to change my life. I decided first to go to work, but then I realized that I was spinning my wheels at work. I thought, like many young kids, that you know everything at 16, 17, and 18. And as a result of thinking that I knew everything at 16, 17, and 18, when I was called to the career office to find out what I was going to do, I told them that I did not want to go to school, that I had enough of school because I was forced to go to school. So I ended up at a gas station, mobile gas station in Woodland Hills, right across the street from the high school where I graduated from. And as a result of going to that mobile gas station, where I used to go buy Doritos and a Coke, I was hired there as a security guard because kids will come across and start stealing things. And because I knew a lot of the kids, I was asked to supervise. Later on, my counselor constantly will ask me if I was thinking about going to college. And I would say no. I worked at the gas station for almost 4 years. She never gave up on me. I started at Pierce College with basic education because after a few years of not being in school, I forgot how to read, and I definitely did not do any mathematics. So I worked hard. I implemented. I was responsible. I was accountable. But I knew that I had to start at the lowest level of education to get to where I am today. So I worked hard. I received my associate's degree from Victor Valley College. I transferred to the University of California, Riverside, where I received a bachelor's degree in political science. I went on to graduate school to receive a master's degree in academic counseling. And because I thought that I was relatively young enough, I decided to go work on a doctorate degree in leadership, higher education, and administration. Thus, now I'm running for the Antelope Valley College Board of Trustees to run a big institution. Now, it's not only wanting to run an institution, what are you going to do there? It's great that I received my education, but what is it that I want to do? Well, I want to do what people did for me. I want to make sure that we recruit students, that we retain them, that we graduate them, that we transfer them. We need to do that. Recruit, retain, graduate, and transfer. We're good at recruiting. We have a hard time retaining them. We know they're not graduating, and we definitely know they're not transferring. And we also know, and you know, that these students might not have the commitment or the dedication to go do what Dr. Robinson did. She just shared with me that she just received her doctorate degree. They might not have the dedication, the commitment, and the accountability to go ahead and receive a college or university degree. So I think that it's very important to create a vocational program. Dr. Robinson was just telling me that they just started a construction program here at Rosamond High School, you say, Dr. Robinson? Now, we don't have that at the college. I want to expand that because not everybody's going to go get a college degree. So we have to make sure that the students that are coming out of the college, out of the high school system, that they have to be productive. Because if these students are coming out of the high school, whether it's Rosamond or Pete Knight or Antelope Valley or Courts Hill or Palmdale High, what happens is that if these kids do not get educated, then what's going to happen? They're going to be a burden to you and me. That means we have to take care of them. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair at all. So we have to make sure that these students are also accountable, but we all have to show them. Give them a program that they could study if they don't want to get a college degree. You heard that there was a shooting at Highland High School. A young man walked into the school and shot another young man and almost killed him. How do you do that? I wish that I could get into it. My time is very, very limited, but let me just close with this. Safety. If our kids are going to be in our school systems, whether it's the college, our middle school, high schools, then we have to make sure that we protect them. And finally, let's not forget of our military veterans. We have to make sure that we support them, and we have to make sure that we get them the proper counseling, not only mental counseling, mental health, but also academic counseling. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure meeting you. I look forward to talking to you some more.
Candidate Steve Buffalo.
Thank you. I've been coming out here since the 60s. How many of you folks have been here since the late or early 60s? Quite a few. So you remember the days of Jimmy Johnson playing football and baseball, Dave Calloway coaching baseball? I've been coming out here a long time. And I was really impressed by how this community sticks together. It's a nice small community. And you can see that there's a lot of participation. And I think that's great. And we really appreciate Rosamond at the college, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees and our administration, I thank you for that participation. In fact, we're making a substantial push in courses and to get people jobs, not just to transfer, but to get them into jobs, because that's the key. The state of California now wants two things. I disagree with one thing. I'll talk about to Tom later about that. But they want them to be able to either get a job or transfer. Now there's a lot of people that want to come take 2 or 3 or 4 classes at the college to improve their current position. Maybe they're taking a marketing class, maybe they're taking skills writing or computer class or something like that. That's important too. The state no longer recognizes that. They want something that says they got a certificate to go on. We have a lot of certificated programs, some very good. We have an incredible aerospace program, and we offer a bachelor's in it now. We graduate our first class of BAs in June. That is, and we're one of the few community colleges allowed to do that. Now I'd like to see us expand that where we could offer nursing, because our staff wants to do it. We are capable of doing it. The nurses locally want us to do it so they can get BAs. But we're kind of held up at the state level. We're hoping to offer more BAs. But I want to talk about the aerospace for a minute. The aerospace, something phenomenal is coming on in that. Our students, 94% of our students going through that program right now, it's an 8-week concentrated program, are getting jobs. They are averaging $18 an hour starting and with full benefits. The amazing thing here is 52% of the folks coming through that program are Hispanic. 25% are women. That's amazing. Nationally, I think it's like 3%. But 25% are women taking an interest. Our former student trustee is an aerospace engineering major. She's Hispanic. I think that's amazing to get those kids involved. But we do the nursing program, the respiratory therapy. We do some incredible things. And at Rosamond High School, we currently offer 6 classes out here each semester. Now, one of the things we do always, we always offer math, we always offer English, but we also offer history and philosophy, college level courses. And we think that's a connection. We're working right now with Sierra Costa College to partner with them at the Mojave Air Park on a program that will help foster air fabrication and advanced mechanics of aerospace. We think that's pretty exceptional, it's pretty exciting. So people will be able to go out there and continue and learn classes. We think that this is a great opportunity, and people talk about, well, what's your graduation rate? We have a pretty good graduation rate compared to other schools similar to us. We graduated or gave certificates to over 3,000 students this past spring.
we're increasing every year. That's pretty phenomenal. And we're excited about the future. We're offering classes and we're working with businesses to place students in jobs. We work with Northrop for an advanced program for their aerospace over there. I think that it's an opportunity, and we're going to continue on and work very hard with Rosamond to add additional classes over at Rosamond High School. We have a very, very good working relationship with them. So we're excited about it. I thank you, and I appreciate you inviting us out here, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Byron Glennon.
My name is Byron Glennon. First, I'd like to thank the RMAC for having us here and for you for coming. Why am I running for the college board? When the college was required to go to districts, I knew there would be a Kern County district. And I knew that's when I was going to run for the college board. I was a little disappointed when I saw the district. It's Kern County, and then a line through Lancaster to an area in Quartz Hill. I was a little disappointed when I saw that, but I decided still to run. I'm running for the seat. I'm going to read it so that I don't run over it. I'm running for a seat in District 2, which includes all of Kern County that is in the Antelope Valley College District. I am a retired educator. I taught at Rosamond High School for 35 years, retiring in 2006. In my career as an educator, I held leadership roles in the following areas: coaching football, basketball, track, serving as athletic director, academic decathlon coach, yearbook advisor, mentor teacher, and English department chair. I am currently in my four-year term with Rosa Community Service District. During my 12 years, I have served as vice president, president on several occasions. I've served as our delegate to the Joint Power Insurance Authority for 6 years. Currently, I represent the district on that board. Rosa Community Service District is a member of the Willow Springs Water Bank, a public-private agency. I am currently a voting member on that board. It covers by a Joint Power Authority. I also serve on Association of California Water Agency Region 7 Board of Directors. I attended Antelope Valley College, where I played football, basketball, ran track, and graduated in 1963. I attended Antelope Valley College, graduated in 1965, where I played basketball for Bill Monable and football for Austin, Georgia. After receiving my AA degree in English, after receiving my AA degree, I spent 2 years in the Navy as a corpsman, finishing my education at Long Beach State with a degree in English and physical education. I began teaching in Rosamond in 1971. I am married to Phyllis Fairchild. We met in kindergarten, and we were married in 1965. We celebrated our 53rd anniversary in August. We have 3 children and 9 grandchildren. 3 attending college, 1 on the mission field in Kenya, Africa. My father served on the Antelope Valley High School College Board in the 50s, when it was still at the high school, and then it moved out where it is now. If elected, I would be honored to be the voice of Kern County in Antelope Valley College. When I say the voice of Kern County, I just came from a volleyball game between Rosamond and Cal City. And you can look in the paper tomorrow and you will not see the score of those games. Kind of frustrates me that Rosamond and even East Kern is a stepchild of Bakersfield and a stepchild of Antelope Valley. And that's why I think we need a voice representing Southern Kern in college. I have no intention to be politically correct. Let me read that one more time. I have no intention to be politically correct. In today's conversation, there are a number of terms that have been perverted. Injustice, justice, tolerance, discrimination are just a few. Hyperbole is a constant use by politicians, journalists, and many professional people. I disregard most. There are voices that I consider and voices that I ignore. The pledge I have for you is that I will represent East Kern in District 2 and carry out the mission, the stated mission of Antelope Valley Junior College. And I ask for your vote in November.
Thank you, candidates. We'll now have Southern Kern Unified School District full term. And if you're here, go ahead and speak. Jonathan Compton. Elizabeth, and I do not want to mess up your last name.
It's Elizabeth Akinini.
Thank you.
My name is Elizabeth Akinini. I live out in the Antelope Acres Park, right off 75th and A. I've lived there for about 13 years. I've been in education for about 20 years. I've worked at the high school district. I currently also teach at Brandman University. I teach teacher credentialing classes. I am an assistant principal at Summerwood Elementary in Palmdale. I've been in administration for close to 5 years. When I first decided to, I have a master's degree in special education, and that's also what I teach special education teachers at Brandman University, so I'm part of that program. I was a special education teacher for 15 years with the high school district. Also a special education instructional coach and mentor teacher. So when I decided to do this, I decided it's time to maybe have some different voices to maybe help steer the boat a little bit. I think we need to get our focus back on what's important for our kids, not for the adults running the boat. I think we need to start talking about looking at procedures, programs. We didn't get this way overnight. It certainly won't change overnight, but I think we all have to work together as a community and keep thinking about the mantra, if it's good for kids, and we just have to keep asking ourselves that. If it's good for kids, then maybe we should think about it. But I believe there's some procedures, some programs, things like that, that need to be reviewed, and we need to ask some hard questions about that, and if it's a good thing to spend our money on. And that's why I just want to help the kids, because this is our community, and we want our kids to do well for the future.
Robinson. Robert Mincelet.
Thank you for inviting us tonight. My name is Bob Mincelet. Previously was on the school board back 2001, 2005 when we were in elected because we were in a similar situation. The funds were drying up. We also got in the middle of a recession. So we had to pay a lot of attention on how to manage the district budget. Okay. So we did very well, the 5 of us that got elected. And we did, and so forth. My background is that I have a master's in education as well. Mine's instructional technology. As you're well aware, technology is creeping in more and more into everything we do. But technology isn't always good. When we first started, we got a little sticker that everybody had, and it said "Kids First." I don't see that on any of the board's nameplates when you go to the board meetings anymore. Yours might be, but I haven't seen yours either. But still, the problem is that my thing is kids first. Okay. Then we've got to issue the budget is the biggest problem. Remember, who pays for that? You, the taxpayers. Okay. We've got to efficiently manage that budget. Show you how much I've managed budgets. I worked for the government for over 27 years. I've had budgets in today's dollars, $50 million. I ran a large Army education and training program. On time, under budget, delivering over 1,000 lessons. Okay, so it goes with that. I know what's, I know what needs to do. I know what we need to do budget-wise. Okay, we need to sit down, look at what's going on, figure out how we're going to make the cuts in order to get off the county. We didn't get to the county when we were on between 2000 and 2005. County was watching us like a hawk, but we managed to escape. A couple of weeks ago, we were at the school board meeting, and several teachers come up with a program. I kind of told them they stole my thunder. When I was in high school, I was told by my counselor, "You're not going to college. Go to the military."
Guess what? I only finished the military, I got my master's degree. I went back, and you know, I ripped him a good one, because you don't tell kids anything like that. You encourage kids. We need to turn around and work with these, understand, listen to the kids. Another area I think needs tremendous board attention. Bullying and school safety, big time. Okay, that needs board attention. Don't turn around and let the administrators and that take care of it. We need to have a say in there. We need to have a voice and observation.
Amen.
That's one of the things that I firmly believe we need to do. The other thing I'm really disappointed is look who's here tonight. We have 10 candidates who are running. Where are the rest? We've got a big budget crisis coming up and a big vote as soon as we get I do. They're not going to be ready. But you got to be at those board meetings because you need to know what's going on. I've been, other than one, and it was because of my mother-in-law's birthday. But I've been at every board meeting. I know what's going on. And I've sat down with some of the administrators and so forth to listen to what their concerns are. But the biggest one is I want to hear what the kids have got to say. Because it's their future and they're our future.
Hello, my name is Naomi Novak. This table is going to make me a little crazy. So I'm going to start just by telling you a little bit about me. I grew up here in Rosamond. I was a kindergarten senior, they called it. So I started in kindergarten and went all the way up and graduated here. I have to say my passion, I went on to UCLA, got my bachelor's degree in psychology, and then went on and got my master's degree in psychology as well. I'm licensed in the state of California as a mental health professional. My passion has always been children. I've worked for the past 20 years with at-risk youth in a mental health profession. I think I wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to college, and I'm sorry, I'm not good at public speaking. I'm good at a lot of things, but public speaking is a little tough. I wouldn't have had the opportunities I had if it weren't for my educators, for the teachers in this school district, if it weren't for the counselors that I had, because I was a first-generation college student. So I think my mission in my life has always been to give back and to give opportunity to children like I was, and to help them. I think my experience and what I bring to the table is 20 years of working with at-risk youth. I have a mental health background, a mental health focus. I think anytime you have a managing board for anything, having diverse experience, diverse knowledge, only strengthens the process. It helps with creativity, with brainstorming, and I think in our day and age right now, when 1 in 5 children suffers from mental health issues, when we have school shootings and everybody says mental health, and there are students that say there were all these red flags that had to do with what was going on with these kids, I think there needs to be a voice for mental health at managing directors and board meetings. So that's who I want to be. I'm very civic-minded and community-minded. I right now am the regional commissioner for our AYSO soccer board, which is a lot of work, and it's volunteer. I spend a lot of my free time working with children in various capacities. I've been a coach. I'm in that little yellow referee outfit out there because nobody else was doing it. Essentially, and I'm pretty much out there every Saturday running around, and really it's for the kids. I didn't have an opportunity when I was a kid to be on that field. I didn't have a lot of other opportunities, and honestly, it's my passion and my mission to make sure the kids in our community have those opportunities. And I want to share my experience and my expertise. I'll also say I'm currently an administrator for a large nonprofit organization. I personally have to manage a budget of over $11 million. And I have to create it each year. I have to monitor it. I have to make hard decisions and make budget cuts when necessary. But I can tell you one thing that I've really learned throughout the years of doing that, over the last 10 years in my role, is how to be creative and how to manage my resources to make sure that the kids that my programs serve get the most of those resources. I get assigned a lot of times to take over programs that are struggling because I come from a problem-solving perspective. I'm able to kind of take a look at what's going on within those programs, identify where the needs are, where the strengths are, and find ways to maximize the strengths and create working teams to have positive outcomes. And I think I can bring that skill and those abilities that I've learned over the years to our school boards here. So I thank you for your time.
David Gray. Brian George. Linda, is it Brantz?
Brantz. Hi, my name is Linda Brantz, and I always say, you go, I was a teacher, okay? So tell the students, you go Burr, ants, and then we got Brantz, okay? The D is silent.
I can do that.
Yes, okay. So I live here in Rosamond, obviously. I've been here for the past, well, I first bought my first house in 1983. Then I was here for about, 5-10 years, went to Lancaster, came back. I've been back in Rosamond for about 14 years. I grew up here in the Antelope Valley, grew up in Palmdale. I went to Antelope Valley College. I got my associate's degree in liberal studies. Then I went to Cal State Bakersfield back before they had the campus here. So I commuted. I got my degree in liberal studies. Went on to get my master's in education, and I have my doctorate in educational administration. I was a classroom teacher for 16 years, and again in Lancaster School District and then also Palmdale. And I also teach classes for the University of Antelope Valley, education classes for a master's program. And I'm currently principal at an elementary school in Palmdale. So I've been an administrator for 6 years, and so I know what it takes to run a school. I know, I manage a budget, I work with teachers, I work with students, I work with parents every single day. That's what I do every single day. I love my job. I love my students. I love my parents. I love our community. But I also have a stake here in Rosamond. I have a son who's a senior in high school. And he started at West Park when he was in kindergarten. He was one of the first kindergarten classes at West Park, one of the first that graduated through the 6th grade. So I'm very proud of him. He's a senior right now. And I have grandkids. I know I don't look old enough, but I have a grandchild at West Park. I have a grandson at Rosamond High. And then I have more that's coming up. I have some more children who live in Rosamond, so I have more grandkids that are going to be going through the school system. But not only do I have the experience as an educator, but I'm also a parent and a grandparent of children that go to our schools. And I have been a coach. I have worked with the children in Rosamond. I've been a basketball coach. I've been a Cub Scout leader, 4-H leader here in Rosamond. Okay, so I'm very much, in fact, I coached Naomi's daughter, so we go back, way back for basketball with the Rosamond Youth League. And my son played baseball here, and he's in robotics. And so I'm and he did football, and my grandchildren play, so, you know, I'm very much a part of the community. But why am I running for this? I'm too busy, to be honest with you, but I heard that there was a need. And I think probably a lot of us here didn't realize 10 people were going to go drive all the way to Bakersfield. So if you're in the state thing, we shouldn't have to drive to Bakersfield to say we want to be on the school board. That's probably an area you can work on, because you know we should be able to do it online, do it here locally. Because I know I had to take off work just to go apply to be a board member, and I've been thinking about it for several years. But I haven't, because I haven't had time to drive to Bakersfield to go apply to be a board member. So anyway, I'll get off on that horse. But so I'm doing this because I know we have a need in our community. I believe I have something to bring to the table. I believe I have, you know, I'm from the largest school district in the Antelope Valley, Palmdale School District. And we are the 4th largest elementary school district in California, believe that or not, 4th largest. So I have a lot of progressive things, a lot of training, a lot of experience that they have a big budget to pay for. But I can bring a lot of that to our small little district here in Rosamond. I can bring a lot of that expertise. And hopefully, you know, again, as Lisa said, do what's best for our students. Students come first. Everything we should do, everything we do should be about our students. What do our students need? So when we look at that budget, yeah, it's going to take a while to get things back in place. But we got to look at the budget, and we got to first prioritize by what's going to help our students. And another thing I will say to those teachers out there, you guys are way underpaid. I know that because I've never wanted to teach in Rosamond. I'm sorry, you don't pay enough here. We're not competitive. You're not bringing quality teachers to these schools. Right. Your administrators make less than a teacher in our surrounding districts. But the budget's not the time for that right now. But I just want to tell you, I recognize that. And that's why I haven't applied to be an administrator or a teacher in this district, although I live here. So we have some problems. We have some things we need to fix. And it's not going to be overnight. It's going to be an uphill battle. I don't know that I can do it, but I'm going to put my name in the hat, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you very much.
Jim Bender? All right, Mario, it's your turn.
Hello, everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces, and for those who don't know me, I own Auto Pros 2 out on Sierra Highway, and I've been in business since 1984, so 34 years. I don't have a college degree in anything, but I've been in business for 34 years, if that says anything about business. What we have for the kids do come first in this district. Our high school is one of the first high schools in this valley who offers college classes that count for both high school and college. Thanks to AV Junior College over here, they've helped us out a lot with a lot of the programs. They have classes on our campus so the kids don't have to go anywhere. They do it right there at school. We had one gentleman that graduated last year that had enough credits that he went into Bakersfield as a junior at 17. So that is the kind of amazing stuff that we do here at this high school. We have an industrial arts program that no one in this valley can match. We have auto, we have welding, we have a trades program that teaches them not to make little doll houses, but they're building framing houses, they're framing buildings, they're doing electrical work on it, they're even hooking up all solar on them. These kids are learning a trade. When they leave, because we are hooked up with the Carpenters Union, they will leave with an apprenticeship that will get them a job when they leave at a decent rate of pay. Because not everybody's going to college. I wish everybody could, but I didn't make it. I didn't go to college. I went to a trade school, which was just as hard. Anyways, these are the kind of things that we're doing at our district. We started a Head Start program that was supposed to be funded, then turned out not to get funded. That's one of the reasons we are in a budget problem. Once you get a project like that started, you don't just pull the rug out from under it. You kind of wean yourself off of it, but by doing so, it cost us in the long run on financials. We also are one of the first schools to give free lunches to everyone. No one in our district pays for a lunch or breakfast, because we do have a high amount of kids that are in the free lunch program that you would say. So instead of singling those kids out, we just push it across the board. We're going to take care of everybody. And that costs money in the long run, but we still did it. The other thing that we also do is we offer an after-school program. We had to cut back because of costs, but we had a program that we were getting paid for only 200 students, and we had almost 800 kids in it. and we were taking care of that. This year, of course, county said that we have to really cut that back to maintain our budget. So yes, there's a lot of stuff that has to be cut back because of the budgetary problems, but we've done it all for the kids. The kids have always come first. We have really nice elementary schools thanks to you people who have actually gone out and got these schools for us, because the county or the state has not paid for those schools. You guys did. So I really appreciate that you guys really stepped forward and took care of us, or took care of your kids, basically. It's going to be my 4th term. And I'm running again only because there's so much that has to be done still. And I don't want to leave it undone. So I really need your guys' help to get back on. I want to work with some of these people and continue working. We just have a lot to do. There's so much that the kids still need. I don't want to see any of our really neat programs that we have started ever go away, especially our college programs and the industrial arts programs. Because usually when budget cuts come, that's the first thing that gets cut. We've tried really hard not to cut anything that's really major. Even our sports programs, we have one of the best sports programs around. We've had to really cut back on that, so we really want to make sure that we don't cut stuff that the kids need to come to school. So thank you.
Hi, I am Dr. Carol Robinson. I just received my doctorate June 30th, so it's new. My BA is in child development, and after I got I intended on being a preschool teacher and a director, but then I needed money, so I went into education and got my teaching credential. And then after I've worked now 30 years in education, I went back and got a master's in Christian counseling and my doctorate. And my doctoral thesis, by the way, was a plan to build a community development center here in Rosamond. Because I want to see people who are on the streets become productive. And so it's 25 pages of plan to get people, teach them how to fill out resumes, get them literacy skills, computer training, that sort of thing, and working with AV College and with the school district and all of those. But that's a sideline. I started to run for school board because I saw a district that was in trouble, and I had the ability to respond, so I felt like it was my responsibility to run. I've been attending the school board meetings, and these are the concerns that I have about what I'm seeing going on. I don't see a lot of team decisions. I see a lot of individual people making decisions for everybody because they're too busy to get together. Teachers are the most resourceful people that there are. They have to manage their classrooms, they have to do all kinds of paperwork, they have to spend their own money on things, and nobody is asking them, what can we cut? They are given all sorts of things into their classrooms that they don't want and they don't need, but they can't get a box of Kleenexes. It's ridiculous what I see. So why aren't we asking them? The coaches got together And they came up with a plan to cut $27,000 from their budget without affecting their program. But they hadn't been asked and it was already cut. So I just don't see a lot of team building. I want to see teams built. The best principal I ever had was a team builder. He came into our school that was an underperforming school, and we had a goal of 11 points. He built teams. He developed a positive environment, and he raised our scores 24 points. Our goal was 11, and he raised it 24 points in 1 year by team building. So that's what I would like to see happen in our board, is to get some input from grade level teams, from coaching teams, from the Teachers Association, from all these people, from the parents, from the kids. Why aren't we asking for input from these people who are affected by these budget cuts? Because they know what they can do without and what they can't. So that's the reason why I'm running, and I just hope that you'll vote for me. Thank
you. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight, and I'd like to thank the RMAC for having this forum for us. My name is Mark Noderman, and I'm running for the short-term seat on the Southern Kern Unified School District Board. I am currently employed as a special education paraeducator in the Southern Kern Unified School District. If I am elected, I would have to resign my position as a para. I have lived in Rosamond for 8 years and have 2 children, a 6th and an 8th grader, who have gone to school here since preschool. I have given many years to the community of Rosamond as a volunteer for youth sports program. I spent 7 years on the AYSO board. In the past 4 years, I've been on the Rosamond Youth Sports Club board. I've also spent time with Rosamond Little League as an umpire, scorekeeper, and coach. I've coached girls soccer for the past 3 years at TMS, and coached at Rosamond High School the previous 2 seasons, helping our girls win back-to-back CIF Central Section championships. I'm running for a spot on our school board because our district is in a financial crisis. Not because of federal or state cuts to education, but because errors were made and oversight has failed. I understand that the Southern Kern Board is a 5-person panel. Not one individual can do things alone. I have been privileged to have volunteered alongside with a few of our other candidates. I served on the AYSO board with Mrs. Novak and served on the RYSC board with Mr. Gregg. I have coached alongside Dr. Compton. I have coached grandchildren of Mr. Vincelet and grandchildren of Mr. Bender. I feel these things are the foundation of a culture of teamwork that will be needed in our school board. I have had the unique opportunity every day to be in classrooms and see how the financial crisis is affecting our students, staff, and our athletes. I believe in communication. I think that open communication is key to helping our district. Our teachers, students, community members, and coaches have many good ideas, and they need to be heard. I also thank the 12 other community members who have stepped up and said, "I will," when asked who was going to help our board. This is a really strong group of people, and I think our future is in good shape. As I stated before, I am willing to give up my job for your students as well as my own. I wish nothing for my own 2 children that I do not wish for yours. Thank you everyone for your time and your consideration.
So you're losing all your boards?
Yeah. All right, Lisa, let's start with you.
Well, I've written a statement a million times and I can't really, I've written a statement a million times, I really can't get it on paper, so I'm just going to wing it. I'm Lisa Marie Checkley. I was raised here in Rosamond from 1st grade on to senior year. I graduated actually at Abraham Lincoln. I did all 11 years here. I say 11 because I graduated a year early by going to Abraham Lincoln. I moved to Michigan to pursue my medical career and stayed gone for almost 18 years. I returned home on vacation to come visit about 5 years ago and seeing what happened to my town. It's sad. It's sad. So the reason I'm running is, so I'm Lisa Checkley. I'm a sales manager of a hotel in Lancaster called Comfort Inn. I've been in the hotel business now for 13, 15 years. I work customer service, so I hear complaints, I hear everything all day long. I'm a problem solver. I can solve any problem if given the authority to and the time to do it. I believe that Rosamond has to, we as a community and as a board, needs to have a direct link to Bakersfield. We need to have constant communication with our supervisor so we can get things done for our community. So I want to be your voice. I think everyone in Rosamond needs to have a voice to Bakersfield. And if I'm elected, I'll be that voice because I'm a local girl and I'm an in-your-face kind of person. I will get in your face and ask you questions and question why and ask a million questions. I know everybody has their personal opinion. I have my own personal opinion. I will not have my own personal opinion when it comes to this board. I'm here for my community because I love my community. I want it to prosper. I want us to grow as a community. And everybody on this board, I'm thankful that they're running, that's been here. I love you guys. I've attended every meeting here except for one for the last 2 years. Because I want my community, I want to know what's going on in my community, and I want my community to get involved in this town. I don't have any children. I have 3 dogs that are my kids, pit bulls, and they're my babies. I have a nonprofit that we're still in the process of getting the paperwork done, but we're almost there, called Bubba's Pit Stop. Here locally, we're a pit bull rescue. I am a lion for the local AV chapter. I have worked with Toys for Tots, the VFW here locally, doing the Thanksgiving baskets and the Christmas baskets for all the kids locally, and homeless veterans. I feed all the homeless pets here in Rosamond for all the homeless people. I get involved, I go out, I talk to them. A few of them are my friends, they know where I live. My garage door is open, you're welcome to come in. That's the kind of person I am. I just want to be a voice for my community. And that's the only reason I'm doing this. I'm not a politician, I'm a sales manager at a hotel, a small hotel, but a hotel. So thank you all for your time.
As the evening's getting late, I'm Brendan Riley, by the way. I'm going to try and keep my comments as brief as possible and maybe even be the shortest speech up here. I've lived in Rosamond for more than 10 years, and I've decided to become even more active in the community. I was part of the CERT team when it was originally firing up. Unfortunately, that's disappeared, and I'd like to see that come back, but that's a whole other topic. I'd like to share my skills and make Rosamond the best town it can be. I've been a contractor to NASA as a system safety engineer for more than 20 years and have the ability to accomplish any objectives set forth. Also, with my experience, I've collaborated with various colleagues from many countries, and with this know-how, I should be able to interact and work in partnership with Kern County officials.
Gregory Robinson. Bill Parkman.
4 years ago, I threw my hat in the ring to run for the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council. But I threw that hat in the ring kind of reluctantly. John Joyce came and talked to me. My pastor came and talked to me. A couple other folks came and talked to me. So I said, looks like I got to do this. And I'm glad I did. I learned a lot about our community. I learned a lot about Bakersfield. I've learned what it takes to get things done. But let me step back and talk about my background a little bit. At age 18, I joined the United States Navy, and I gave 23 years of my life to this country. I retired as a Master Chief Petty Officer. I moved to Rosamond in 1991 when I retired from the Navy. Left the beautiful confines of San Diego, California. Looking for gold, I guess, I'm not sure. But anyway, I got here, I put my youngest daughter in school. She graduated from Tropico, also Rosamond High School. I went to work as a construction manager on the subway project in LA. Did 10 years with that. Moved on and started working for a general contractor for a few years with Intertex General Contractors down in Santa Clarita. And then came back over to construction management again and worked as a construction manager for the Los Angeles Unified School District. I have run contracts with values up to $60 million. Brought them all in on time, on budget. The biggest things that I see that confront us here in Rosamond today are drugs, crime, and uncontrolled development. On the drug point side of this, I'm not pro-drug, I'm not really anti-drug, but I am very much pro-law. We had a ballot measure this year. You have a choice between Proposition J and Proposition K. Proposition J limits things a little bit, kind of lets a medical marijuana go forward. Proposition K kind of throws it open and it's a big party. What I'm concerned about with this, though, is that with drugs, with the legalization of marijuana, crime is going to go out of control here. As we get into being more legal with marijuana, you can expect organized crime to move in. It could get nasty. That's why that 1% sales tax increase that the county is promoting, we need to vote for that. On development, we have to keep a real close eye on this because right now we've got tons of solar projects out here. And they're not done building them, but we're drawing very little benefit for us personally here. We're not getting a break on our electricity bills. We're not getting free street lights here. So there's a lot of things that we don't get. And it seems to me that the money goes somewhere. And it's really a shame because I hear that we sell this electricity out of state at a discount. So that's not good for us either. Because someone's going to pay the shortfall, and that's us. So anyway, those are the three big things I see that we need to work on. And I ask for your support. I ask for your vote if you'd like to give me another term. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dennis Schaffner, and I'm a candidate for the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council. For those of you that don't know me, and there are quite a few here that don't, my family moved to the Antelope Valley back in 1956. I graduated from Antelope Valley High School in '65. I'm a graduate of Antelope Valley College. I spent 12 years in the Navy, 6 as an air traffic controller, 6 in journalism and public affairs. I started working at the base back in 1987, just a couple of weeks before I turned 40. Last year I retired after almost 30 years. My last job at the base that I held for 20 years was Chief of Community Relations for the base. If any of you have ever gone out there for a tour, anybody? Okay, a few? Okay. That was my program to manage. Part of my job was taking noise complaints. If you call up the base complaining about noise, I was the guy you dealt with. If you needed to get a speaker for something, I was the guy. I attended a lot of meetings out in town representing base leadership. If you wanted the Air Force band to come, you wanted to fly over for something, that was all me too. I ran the Honorary Commander's Program for most of that time. Not all of it, but good chunk of it, I did that job single-handed. So I bring a lot to the table in terms of that kind of work experience. I was the founding chairman of this council. The Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council began as a town council, which was just a club. You joined, it was an application, you paid the money, and when I was joined, they asked me to be on it, and then be on the board, and then be the president. And I went to the supervisor, and I said, what can we do to turn this into a more representative body that, rather than just a bunch of guys sitting around the Cracker Barrel at the general store spitting and lying and chewing and whatever else they do. And so the supervisor at that time, Don Maben, said, why don't we create a Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council? These were already established in state law. We just become one of those kinds of things. So back in 2006, we did that. This is my 4th time serving on the board. I would go off the board for a bit. One time I had to leave because I was the legislative liaison for the base for a while. I don't know if you knew that, right? And then I've been asked to come back a couple of times. So this time I'm running to serve again. My goal, okay, what is Dennis Schaffner's goal? Dennis Schaffner's goal is to be of service, not to be served. I think anybody for public office shouldn't go at it looking at having an office as some kind of a position of power, but rather as a position of service. What can we do to help make Rosamond a better place to live and work? That's our goal. How can we make it better? Some of the things we've been able to accomplish, for example, is the paving of Fell site all the way up from the service road there by 14 all the way down to 35th. We're paving 60th, no, 35th, 30th from Rosamond Boulevard to Orange. The urgent care is coming. Ever since my first term, we've been trying to get some kind of medical services here in Rosamond, and it's finally happening. Sometime December, January, we'll have an urgent care right next door to Albertson. Now, what was my part of that? It's a question of introducing people and keeping on top of it and saying, well, have you thought about this and that and the other? And so we just kept that ball rolling, and now it's going to be a reality. I'm a father of 6. I'm a grandfather of 5. I've got 5 great-grandchildren, another on the way. I'm going to hold a bake sale later to help raise money so we can get the TVs fixed. That's enough of those. That's enough. But the point is, I'm here running because I want to serve you. My name is Dennis Schaffner, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Services District.
Hello folks, my name is Wade Hatcher. I'm running for the RCSD.
They're not going to be able to hear you, I'm sorry.
Okay. My name is Wade Hatcher, and I'm running for the RCSD. This election coming up is really going to determine Rosamond's future. It's very obvious that there are a lot of problems here, and we need people that can solve them. It seems to be in short supply. I want to serve the community. That's the only reason I ran for this post. I worked as a building engineer in high-rise in Los Angeles for over 6 years. I was promoted to chief engineer the last year that I was there. I'm very familiar and understand waste supply and freshwater supply systems. I also worked for the California Department of Corrections as a stationary engineer, which meant I had to repair everything from sewer systems up to air conditioning. Whatever was repaired, I had to do it. And of course, I had a group of good people with me to also do it. I worked there for 7 years, and at age 66, I retired. I believe waste of millions of dollars in the past at RCSD is a crime. If elected, I will do my best to safeguard our community from unchecked runaway spending of the past. I will do my part to keep it under control where possible. And that's a promise I make to every citizen here. Thank you very much.
Rick? Okay. Rick Webb? Ben Stewart? There we go.
How you guys doing? I'm Ben Stewart. I know a lot of faces here. Many of you guys don't know who I am. You see the last name Stewart and you go, you guys not from around here. I'm actually third generation. My family's last name is Julian. My mom, actually she's my grandmother, but I call her mom. She's raised me since 18 months, me and my twin brother. She owns Rosamond Realtors and worked in that office. I think this is the 50th year. So, born and raised in Rosamond, some of the best memories I have is this being such a small town. I remember, first I'm not going to apologize for wearing my scout uniform. It wasn't intentional. I just left a scout meeting and came straight here. Some of the best memories I have is riding my bike down the street with my brother, going door to door selling candy bars for the scouts, knocking on the door. You guys want to buy a candy bar? No. Turn around walking away and they come back. You're one of the Julian boys. Yes? All right, I'll take one from each of you. Ride the bike back home. Get home, mom's waiting at the door. You're riding your bike in the street, weren't you? Who called? It doesn't matter who called. You're riding your bike. Yes, ma'am. Bike's gone for a week. She instilled a sense of responsibility in me, a sense of service. I started in Cub Scouts at the age of 7. I went all the way up to 18. I didn't get my Eagle Scout, and I'll tell you why. Because from that nice age of 14 to 16, I thought Scouts was lame. I thought I wanted to go hang out with my friends. And so I got inspired by a guy who came in as our new leader, Ray Folk. And he taught me many things about doing what you say you're going to do. I missed it by that much. Almost got it. Almost got my Eagle Scout. Now, with my kids, I have a 15-year-old in the high school, 7-year-old in 2nd grade, and a 5-year-old in kindergarten. And I'm scout leader. Again, I've been doing it for 2 years. So when I turned 18, I did like everybody and wanted to move to the big city, so I moved to Lancaster. The big city. You mean I can go to the movie theater anytime I want? I moved back to Rosamond at the age of 25. I decided that I wanted to start a family, but before I did that, I decided that I was going to, my mom helped me purchase my first home. I got a job working for the city of Lancaster. I started off cleaning sewers at the very bottom. I've been there for over 10 years now. After a couple of years of cleaning the sewers, they realized that I'm not saying better than cleaning the sewers, but my skill set is more apt to doing other things. So I started cammering the sewer lines, writing reports for the engineers, and letting them know when they need to be replaced. Also during that time, I worked on the recycled water line. I worked with the graffiti abatement crews to track it. And then after a little while, I got promoted to industrial waste technician, where now I'm the guy that goes to all the restaurants and makes sure they're cleaning what's called a grease interceptor out prior to dumping to the city-maintained sewer line. So I take a lot of pride in my job and my family. Since taking this position, I realized that a high school education wasn't enough for me. If I want to move up any higher, I need to go for college. So about a year ago, I started taking college classes. My mom says it's about 16 years too late, but she's proud of me that I'm doing it again. My mom's 83. She goes to work 5 days a week. She'll probably be mad I said her age. But she goes to work 5 days a week. She used to come here Tuesday nights and attend Toastmasters. I used to come and attend Toastmasters too. 15 years old, coming here, 14, 15, 16, sitting here for an hour and a half every Tuesday night learning how to speak in front of people. At that time, I didn't think it was a big deal, but now I've learned. You know, when you're going to people's businesses and you're speaking with them, teaching, asking them to comply with state ordinances, city ordinances, and the EPA, they don't know who those people are. They don't know that these are rules that are coming in. I was responsible for showing them how to do it and getting them compliant with the state. You don't come in and hand somebody a ticket and say you're doing it wrong. You come in and say, this is why it's wrong. This is how you fix it. And I'll be back in a couple months. Here's my card. Give me a call if you have any questions. What do I want to work on? Why do I want to work on RCSD? It was my plan to do when I retired, but I was sitting around one day talking to my wife, who is my biggest supporter, and probably the only reason why I'm doing this. I would not do anything in my life without going to her first to make sure I had her support. So that's it. Sorry, I wish I had more. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Ed McKay?
Yes. So I go last on the incumbent.
I'm sorry?
Can I go last on the incumbent?
Great.
All right, good evening. My name is Greg Wood, and I'm going to read because I'll get lost if I don't. And I'm running for a seat on the Rosamond Community Service District, also known as RCSD. The RCSD is the agency who is responsible for your water, sewage collection, and treatment, street lighting, graffiti abatement, and until recently parks and recreation. Before I go any further, I just want to take a moment to address the state of politics in our community. I first ran for public office here in Rosamond back in the early 1990s, and things were a lot more civil back then. And one thing you will not hear from me is negativity. I will not talk bad about any of my opponents, never have, never will. Members of the RCSD board are members of the RCSD administration. In fact, I strongly feel that any person who wishes to come out of their private lives and run for public office and serve their community deserves our gratitude and our thanks for their willingness to serve. What I want to do is take the next few minutes to tell you a little bit about myself, my experience and knowledge that I bring to the table, and what I will do for you, the community, if I'm fortunate enough to earn your vote and obtain a seat on the RCSD. I and my wife, Michelle, who've been married for 45 years, moved to Rosamond in January 1992. We have 5 children, 17 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. I recently retired from the Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts in 2016 after 37 years of service. At the time of my retirement, I was in charge of maintenance for the Palmdale and Lancaster sewage treatment and water reclamation facilities. I was also responsible for the maintenance of the entire sewer system for the Antelope Valley and Santa Clarita Valley, as well as agricultural sites in both Palmdale and Lancaster and the pumping plants and infrastructure delivering water to these sites. I was also in charge of maintenance for 2 large water storage and distribution facilities in Palmdale and Lancaster, handling over 1 billion gallons of water. I had also the responsibility for the entire desert fleet, consisting of over 115 vehicles and equipment, and last but not least was the maintenance of Paiute Ponds, a federally protected wetlands and marshland on Edwards Air Force Base property. I have proudly been a public servant for the past 40 years as an employee, as an elected member of the RCSD board for 15 years, and currently serving on the RMAC board and numerous other volunteer positions serving the community over the years. There are 5 things I want to focus on if I'm elected. One is ensure a reliable, safe, and affordable supply of drinking water. There are dark clouds on the horizon for Rosamond and the entire Antelope Valley in regards to reliable water supply. We live in an adjudicated water basin, and as a result, the RCSD in a few years will be able to pump only 25% of the water we currently need. That leaves the district to find other sources of water now. My experience and background will allow me to step in and help guide this effort to ensure we have the water to serve the residents of Rosamond. 2, ensure the RCSD is run with fiscal responsibility. My experience will allow me to make informed decisions, ensuring that RCSD is operating with efficiency and that every dollar is being spent wisely. Revive the wastewater treatment plant to save vital drinking water for irrigation. This plant has sat dormant for the last 4 years. It was originally designed to produce a valuable source of irrigation water, and if used properly will conserve our valuable drinking water that is currently being used for irrigation. With my background and experience, we can accomplish the permitting of the wastewater treatment plant and produce water that will ease our future water needs. Also establish a strategic plan that addresses the infrastructure needs of the district. A proper plan is necessary to guide the maintenance and infrastructure needs of our district. A proper plan will lead to efficient budgeting of scarce resources. It has always been an honor and privilege to serve the people of Rosamond. I have always given 100% to make our community a better place for all, and I am humbly asking for your vote to continue to serve you. Thank you.
On the ballot, I'm Morrison Ed McKay. Most of you know me as Ed McKay. I've just finished fourth term, or I'm in my fourth term as a member of the board of Rosamond Community Service District. I served on the board from 1984 to 1996. When I was voted off the board in 1996, we left $12 million in reserve. And the remarks I'm going to make are not negative remarks, they're facts. Two of my opponents, Mr. Wood and Mr. Webb, are saying that the RCSD needs change, and the change it needs is their leadership. Well, let's look at the record of the leadership that they have on the board. In 2008, the district had to take a loan out to make payroll. In 2014, when they left office, they left the district in financial turmoil. The district had spent the majority of its reserves on operations and maintenance, was bleeding $100,000 per month. The district was only months from bankruptcy, and the general manager told them that at the time, that they were going to go bankrupt. After I took office, the board made major changes with creative solutions from staff, sound policy decisions from the board of directors. The district changed its net position from $350,000 deficit to over $2.6 million increase and replenished the reserves. Part of this was achieved by decreasing expenses by 10.4%. Under their leadership, $12 million of your money was wasted building a treatment plant that was not needed. Now let me stop here and tell you, in the 1980s, I was a vast proponent of the treatment plant. I tried to raise $10 million through the California Special Districts Association Finance Corporation. We couldn't get the money because the board decided they were going to go with the state. We had to redraw the plans for the treatment plant, and then we gave the state the plans, and the state said, hey, these are great plans, but we don't have any money. And then it was years later that the plant was built. One of the things that they keep failing to tell you, when the plant was built, we could buy water for $180 an acre foot. The treatment plant costs $3,200 an acre foot. That's over $1.8 million that would take to provide that to you, that treatment plant. We don't have the structure to use that treated water to go anywhere. The new board that I'm serving with right now, we're revamping the water treatment plant, and we're going to take the water, we're going to get the nitrates out of the water, then we're going to percolate it into the ground, and we're going to be able to pump water because it's imported water. Through the adjudication, we're going to be able to produce about 1,500 acre feet of water. We're allowed to pump 4.42 acre feet of water at the end of the adjudicated ramp down period. It's a 5-year period. And so I'm just trying to tell you what the facts are. The district is moving in a positive direction. We don't need to change it back to leadership and fiscal irresponsibility of these two candidates. Do not take my word for it. Look at the records. You can go over to the district and ask the district about the records through the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s and up to the present time. You can see how some of the boards spent your money on fallacious things. I will continue the positive changes the district has made, keeping your rates low, protecting the money and resources that you have entrusted to us to manage, for fiscal responsibility. Vote for Hatcher, Willis, and McKay. And also vote yes on Proposition 6 and no on the 1% you're being lied to. You know, that 1% is not coming out here. It's going to go to other places in the county. Thank you very much.
And we're ready for a 15-minute recess.
It's open to the public. Please limit your presentations to no more than 3 minutes. Any community announcements? Okay, then let's move on to public comment period. Any member of the public may address the council regarding any matter of concern to Rosamond residents. This need not be related to any items on the agenda. However, law prohibits the council from taking action on matters not on the agenda. Please limit presentations to 3 minutes. And at this point, open the floor to public comments. Any public comments? All right, there being none, we'll move on to the business meeting. Item 11, standing committee reports. Are there any reports from any committees?
No.
No.
None? Then let's move on to old business.
The only thing that I would
Go back to sleep.
That's under old business and that's the next thing we're gonna do.
okay.
See, told you.
Okay. Do we have any old business on item A, discuss and take possible action regarding marijuana dispensaries?
Nothing new this time.
Nothing new? Okay. Item B, discuss report on status on SB 1421 and AB 931. Those letters were submitted, but we have not heard anything back as to what action the board of supervisors have taken on that. So hopefully we'll have something by the next meeting. Any other discussion on B?
No.
Okay, item C, discuss and take possible action in regard to county increases in park recreation opportunities in Rosamond. Any reports on that?